Hello and welcome to Seismic Cinema. So put your feet up on your blurg, grab your dark saber, and prepare to say this is the way for the next hour and possibly longer.
Yes, welcome to another riotous edition of Seismic Cinema. And this week it is the Scottish collaboration that nobody asked for, nobody wanted, but you've got it anyway. We have Satsu from the Satsunami podcast. How are you doing, sir?
Yeah, not bad. Not bad, thanks. Long time listener, first time caller. So yeah, thank you for inviting me on.
God, I feel like Gordon Duncan on Super Scoreboard now.
I know.
We're still amazed that people like to come on and actually do come on and sometimes come back.
No.
Oh well, I don't know. I need to judge his performance first and see. Might not want him back.
That's true. You've got to watch the follow-up episode, Match of the Seismic Cinema Day,
Yeah, so this week we are doing a wee cheeky top 5 Mandalorian episode ranking in anticipation of season 3 releasing. And we thought, what better way to do it than with our pal Satsu. I've been listening to quite a few of your podcasts, and you're quite an avid wee Star Wars fan.
Oh, I try to be, I have to say. It's kind of hard when you've got some like co-hosts. I mean, I love them, don't get me wrong, but there's some of them where I'll say, do you want to do a Star Wars episode? And they'll go, yeah, I guess. So I'm starved for it. Yeah.
You're always welcome on with us for those ones then.
No, appreciate it.
Yeah, because you've got, is it Adam, Andrew, and Greenshield that come on quite a lot?
Yeah, Adam and Andrew are the two main ones that come on. There's also a couple of others who come on as well. Like, for example, one of my other friends, Jan, from the Beer and Chill podcast. You might have heard him in a couple of Star Wars episodes. We did ones on the Book of Boba Fett and the Bad Batch, and he's like very much an avid Star Wars fan, but yeah, unfortunately, he's not much of a regular coming back on. So it's like as soon as they honestly like come and go like every so often. So it's like a passing meteor going by.
No, yeah, actually, I caught your Book of Boba Fett one. Jan's quite eccentric, isn't he?
Oh yeah, but still, the passion's there. The passion's
there. He hates the mods just like we all do, except Colin. Yeah. I think he liked the mods.
I didn't like them, did I?
You tell me, brother.
Can't remember. So yeah, I'm a bit slower on the uptake in terms of listening to other people's pods, but I did listen to your Spider-Man trivia one this morning when I was getting ready for work.
Oh, I apologise in advance. Or sorry, in hindsight.
I actually, I was actually getting a few right, which I was quite surprised about.
Mm-hmm.
There was a few interesting facts in there, like Tom Holland going to high school to prepare for the movie and things like that.
Yeah,
you don't want to spoil the episode. You don't want to spoil the episode for people. Giving the answers away.
Yeah, I suppose. But that's quite a deep dive to come into this just to find that. Do you know what I mean?
Oh, I know. The amount of facts, though, like, see when you're looking up stuff, I mean, you guys must feel the same when you're researching for your episodes, but the amount of things you find on these topics and you think there's no way that's true, and then like a Google search later and you're like, Jesus, okay, to include this in the episode. Right.
Normally do some research, but tonight kind of get eaten up by technical difficulties. So,
I think that's our way of saying, yeah, we don't do research.
I do. I've tried to. I've tried to.
That IMDb trivia page is amazing.
Don't forget Saint Wikipedia. That's a lifesaver.
Yeah, that's always my go-to just before I go into the podcast.
Mm-hmm.
So, are you wanting to plug your show a wee bit, just for anyone who's not checked you out before? It's always a good chance to do it.
Yeah, absolutely. So, as you guys skillfully introduced me, thank you. Yeah, I'm Satsunami, and I run the variety podcast Chatsunami, where, yeah, we talk about like a whole host of things because, quite frankly, we can't make our minds up. So we discuss things like film, video games, anime, and just general interest as well. we also do interviews as well, which I'll need to get you guys on for. I've got my eyes on you guys, don't worry. And
what are you asking us about?
oh, just if you ever want to come on for either an episode or an interview or
Yes.
anything like that, you guys are more than welcome.
I was just wondering what you would interview us about.
Well, I say interviews because I've said this to other like creators, because when I started out, like I did Twitch streaming, so I would interview like a lot of Twitch streamers and things, and then I started like trying to interview and talk to other podcasters and things. And I always say that, I always say, oh, it's an interview and everything, as if it's very formal, and it ends up just like a chat, like a gab.
Yeah.
Essentially, that's what it devolves into. It's like a inherently Scottish thing, isn't it?
We'll be talking about Papa John's and Subways.
Exactly.
We could do a round table. I don't know if you've some of the football podcasts that you just like meet up in a pub, have a pint, and just chat and film it.
Yeah, that's essentially what it is. Minus the pints, but that's essentially what it is. Yeah. But yeah, that's pretty much it for me. And if anyone wants to check it out, they can check out at podpage.com/Satsunami. But yeah, no, that's me for plugging. I don't want to take up too much time because people will be itching to get onto the Mandalorian stuff.
Oh, yes. Well, we'll keep them waiting just a bit longer. We're notoriously bad at promoting ourselves, so we'll do that at the end of the pod. But what we wanted to do, just a quick wee segment. Paul was still keen to do it, in terms of what are we watching. So any films or TV shows we've been checking out this week?
Yeah.
Paul,
do you want
to
me?
Or...
No.
Okay.
Guess goes first.
Yeah.
Okay. So is it just things I've been watching this week?
Yeah, just anything.
Yeah, just
like
anything. Well,
it could be films, shows, games, books, podcasts, magazines, whatever you want.
Well, funny enough, not to keep it on topic so much, but I've actually been trying to catch up on season 2 of The Bad Batch recently. I don't know if you guys have been keeping up with it as well, but it's interesting so far, I've got to say. It's been all right. Like, I feel as if it's been better than the first season in some regards, and then others it's like, oh great, you've got a filler episode here and there. I'm just trying to think what else. I mean, I've also been going back to, the classics on Netflix. That way when you're editing or your research or you're just like working and you think, oh, I just want something mindless in the background. So things like Seinfeld or something like that. Although I have to admit, gaming wise, I have been like dropping the ball something awful. Like, have you guys been gaming this week or?
Colin has.
Well, not the last couple of days because I've had I've had the sniffles, but I've been playing Hogwarts Legacy quite a lot in the last week.
Oh yeah, I've heard that's quite fun.
Yeah, it's fun. I just wish I had more hours in the day to do more with it, but when I do, I will.
Oh, it's the worst part, becoming an adult, isn't it?
Yes, you have to set a wee half hour or hour aside if you can.
Oh,
I get to play Dead by Daylight sometimes, every so often, but it's like I enjoy playing it, but sometimes it can get a bit tedious. But my girlfriend, she loves watching me play it. So she gets like scared when the killers like come around the corner and stuff, like screams and stuff, and I'm just like, she's having more fun watching it than I'm playing it.
I've got the opposite problem. When I'm playing Hogwarts Legacy, I'm continuously pointing out wee Easter eggs to Alien, and she just ignores me. Like, I was walking through the Forbidden Forest on one of the missions, and then some centaurs just kind of walked through. They weren't even doing anything. They were just walking, but I was so excited by that. Sorry, that was a tangent.
No, that's fine.
It was cool though, just seeing them go about their business. So, anything else you've been checking out? Any movies or?
No, well, funny enough, the only other one that I did check out, and honest to goodness, that way when you get into a cycle of looking through like different things on Netflix, and it's the kind of thing where it's like, oh, there's so much choice, but there's nothing, there's everything and nothing at the same time. And there was one like weird horror film I tried watching. It was like a Korean one called Unlocked or something. I think it's just come out.
Right.
It wasn't great. It's just basically about a guy who like puts spyware into people's phones and tries to stalk them. And I'm like, wow, this is a cheery thing to watch after work. You know, you sit down and you think, oh, I wonder what this is about. Is it a thriller? No, it's depressing. And then you turn it off. But I know. Other than that, no, that's been really it. Other than that, I've just been trying to keep up with editing, which I know, as you guys probably know, it's a pain in the backside sometimes.
Oh, we're very low grade. I edit it on my phone, and it's the most horrible thing in the world, especially when you got big sausage fingers trying to do the wee sliders. Awful.
Yeah. No, I'm the same. I tried it once and it was just all over the place. I was like, oh no.
I don't do the editing. I do the uploading, which is just sitting watching it upload really slowly for hours.
Yeah, I think I should get paid more, but hey ho.
Yes. Well, anyway, Paul, what random movies that no one's heard of have you been watching this week?
Sharp. I watched Knock It. Oh, hello, Mando. You woke up. So,
for anyone who's not listened to us before, Paul has a dog called Mando, which is very on brand.
Oh yeah, I didn't even think of that. Yeah, he's named after that. Yeah, but he's very loud, not like Mando. Anyway, so I was watching Knock at the Cabin, which was very good in my opinion. It wasn't what I was expecting. It's got Dave Bautista in it and a couple other folks. And yeah, I hadn't really read up on it, but it was very, very good. And I'd recommend it to anyone if you're looking for just a wee hour and a half of thought-provoking movie making. Bad Batch as well. And also been trying to watch The Last of Us, the episode 6 for like the last 3 nights, and I've not been able to. And then hopefully going to watch it tonight after this. But yeah, I've been watching The Last of Us and really enjoying it.
I've heard good things about that, I have to say.
Yeah, well, I've not played the games, so it's all kind of fresh to me. I got the game, I downloaded the games after the first episodes. I was like, I'll play up to where I'm watching to.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it's good so far. Some of the episodes are a wee bit kind of slowish at times, but yeah, I'm enjoying it. There's a lot of kind of emotional scenes in it, which I wasn't expecting. And the Infected looked pretty good. So yeah, it's good for somebody that hasn't played the games. How about you, Colin?
I fancied seeing that. What was it called? Cabin in the Woods, is it?
Knock at the Cabin.
Oh, that's a different film, I think.
That is a different film.
Cabin in the Woods is a movie, but not that one.
That's a good movie too.
I did fancy going to see that, but I didn't make it. And I was going to go see Ant-Man today, but then I was tired. So yeah, there were 2 films out. I will probably see Ant-Man maybe next week at some point if I get a chance. I said to you earlier, Paul, I just finished my Mandalorian rewatch this morning, so I've watched all 16 episodes in preparation for the ranking. And me and Aileen have been binging Happy Valley on BBC iPlayer, which is pretty addictive and not a very happy valley. It's a good theme tune though. Mm-hmm. It's a good show. I would recommend it. It's like have you seen it, any of you?
Oh, I've seen it, yeah. I know exactly what you mean when you say it's not a happy valley. It's a bit of an oxymoron, aye.
It's very gripping though. We're very obsessed with it. So we're like halfway through season 3.
Oh, aye. Yeah.
So yeah, we're going to watch that, and then I think we're going to watch the first 5 episodes of You season 4. Mm-hmm. And there's I keep seeing like other iPlayer shows pop up. I'm quite into them, so there's a couple more of them. I can't remember the names off the top of my head, but top of my head, am I the pod racer commentator? Oh, come on, that's a good one. Remember the pod racer guy with the 2 heads?
If you have to explain it, it probably wasn't.
Everybody knows the pod racer announcer with the 2 heads. Come on. If we're on a Star Wars discussion, we all know that one.
And it's Quadranero.
Right. I'd say it's about time we get into talking about the main course of the Mandalorian. So,
And you can leave me till last on the ranking because I need to go give this dog a treat so he can stop barking at me. Back in 2 seconds.
What we could talk about is early thoughts, like when it was first announced. What were our thoughts on it? Were we looking forward to it? Were we nervous about it? What were the kind of expectations going in?
Okay. Do you want me to start, sorry, or do you want to? Yeah.
Paul ran away, so you can.
Of course. Yeah, so it's a bit of a weird one. It feels as if it's quite a weird period to be like a Star Wars fan, especially in the 2010s, because there was obviously that transition period between it going from George Lucas to Disney and everything, and at the time, everyone seemed quite hopeful with the sequel trilogy, and then obviously there seemed to be like problems popping up, and the more and more it went on, I don't know, I feel as if people seemed kind of fatigued by it. And I have to say, I ended up following in the footsteps of one of my friends who, him and his wife, decided that they were going to watch all the films from start to finish. So, like from the prequels all the way to the sequel trilogy. So I thought, okay, I might as well do that because I had nothing better to do. And I watched it over the next couple of weeks, including things like Rogue One and Solo. But I think by the time I got to Solo, I was just absolutely shattered with the films. I was just so fatigued with Star Wars. And I mean, I love Star Wars, but it's just it was tiring me out. So when I heard about The Mandalorian, I wasn't overly enthused. I thought, all right, it's just another show. What's so special about this? But it's one of those shows that has thoroughly proven me wrong every time in a good way. Like it's one of those ones where I think, oh, I can't believe how wrong I was about this show. It's a bit like Andor as well. Like, I mean, I know, that was kind of in the future, but that was another one where they announced it and I thought, well, Andor, who's that? Oh, it's the guy from Rogue One. Why would I want to watch that? And then you actually watch it and you think, oh my God, this is absolutely fantastic. So, yeah, like I went into the first episode, I thought, oh, it's okay. And then as soon as I kept going through it, I absolutely fell in love with it. And it kind of reinvigorated my interest in Star Wars. Like I would go as far to say that because after, the kind of anticlimactic rise of Skywalker and, all those kind of entries into the series, I wasn't that hopeful, but yeah, no, I feel as if Mandalorian has like a very big part in, bringing back a lot of fans. But I mean, were you the same as well when you first heard about it?
Yeah, it was so long ago now, and I feel like a lot of people like have kind of like blocked out the kind of lockdown period of life. It feels like it never really happened in a weird way. But I remember being more excited for Disney Plus coming out than I was for The Mandalorian itself because the idea of having all the Star Wars films and animated shows there out your chair was really nice. So it was a while ago now, so I don't really specifically remember how I felt going in. And it was quite an anxious period of life because I think I watched the first 2 episodes. I think they came out just before we went into lockdown, so everyone was a bit kind of scaremongering and confused about what was going on. But it was definitely good to have that to look forward to every week, as it gave you kind of something to look forward to during a time when you couldn't do much else.
No, absolutely. It definitely felt as if it kept you in a routine because especially with like things like Netflix where they just drop whole series, not so much nowadays. I feel as if they're kind of pulling away from that, but it was definitely the case with The Mandalorian that they were doing it like almost as if it was a TV show that you had to wait for next week and the week after, and you couldn't just take like a month free subscription. I think that's probably why I
Yeah.
did it. I was like, oh,
I-
that's look at.
I prefer it, to be honest. Like, I've got
Mhm.
really fond memories of watching WandaVision on a Friday afternoon because
Yeah.
at the time I was living by myself, so I was working in the house all day and then going my wee allotted walk in the evening. And I remember Friday lunchtime I would watch WandaVision, and it was just like the highlight of the week.
Mhm.
So it was a really Disney Plus couldn't have planned their timing any better in terms of when they came out.
Mhm.
Sounds like a conspiracy.
All right.
I know. That's a nice way to come back, Paul. Just one thought, I had the spoilers, the Baby Yoda of it all. We had that majorly spoiled for us because we had to wait obviously quite a bit longer for it to come to the UK. So we already. I kind of wish I could have watched the first episode not knowing what was in that wee cradle,
Yeah.
because Baby Yoda was all over the internet long before we watched the first episode.
Aye, that is true. Because I was just on Twitter and things, hashtag Baby Yoda, hashtag look at this cute mini Yoda. You're like, come on, guys. Come on.
What about you, Paul? What were your kind of initial hopes and thoughts about The Mandalorian when it first came out?
Yeah, so probably just to echo on what you guys have said, like I remember seeing it had been announced and there was like a couple of still shots of the Mandalorian and like it looked okay. Like it was when he had like his old armor and it was kind of shabby looking.
Yeah.
And I was like, looks okay, but after watching the sequel trilogy movies, I didn't hold out much hope for it because like the stories had been such a mess, and I just thought they were going to make a quick buck off a cool looking character that kind of looked like Boba Fett. And yeah, I wasn't too enthusiastic for it coming out, but once it did, I was hooked. Like that kind of bar fight at the start in the ice planet, and he like cuts the guy in half in the door. I was like, "Yep, I'm in. I'm all in for this."
Mhm.
And it's one of these shows that probably not since Game of Thrones, I think. I was looking forward to like week on week coming out. But yeah, no, and season. I don't want to go too much into it, but yeah, like I feel like there's a lot of good standout episodes in this, and there is a few kind of filler episodes, like kind of talking like Bad Batch and stuff, but it can get away with it because they're so good.
And sometimes they end up tying back anyway later on.
Yeah, true. And like every time you watch it too, there's like some like crazy cameo or like actor that's in it from like Hollywood, and it's a nice wee surprise.
Mhm.
Well, I think we should just dive right into the ranking, and I'm sure we'll talk about all the other things we love and potentially things we don't love as much as we go along.
There's things that you don't love in The Mandalorian. What?
Well, we'll save that for the overall discussion once we've done the ranking.
Cool, no worries.
Leave you hanging. Right, so we'll go from 5 through to 1. It's been a while since we've done a ranking, Paul. I'm looking forward to doing the old go down the numbers.
Yeah,
and give
it's
our
nice to get back to our roots as well, doing Star Wars since we only started doing this podcast because of the Book of Boba Fett.
Yep. So yeah, so we'll go 5 through to 1, and if our illustrious guest wants to go first, I'm actually really interested. I'm interested in my own selections, if I'm honest. So it'll be interesting to see what you guys have picked.
I have to admit, I was really torn for a lot of these episodes because, as you said, like there are filler episodes in this, but they never feel too egregious. You know, it doesn't feel as if they're the worst. So, like, to kind of find the best episode there, you see, even he agrees. You know,
Bark means yes.
yeah. So, yeah. So for my number 5, and again, other than the first two, like I had an idea about my kind of top 3, but for the other ones I was a bit thingy. But for my 5th one, I put The Prisoner. which is just the one where they raid the New Republic ship. And what I do like about the show, and I feel as if that this episode in particular shows off, is just the fact that there is like a kind of transitional universe going on out there. You know, you've got a period that they don't really focus on. Like, obviously, you know, because of the sequel trilogy, they're going from the Empire to the New Republic and everything, and because you're focusing on the Mandalorian, you wouldn't expect to see much of the New Republic, but to kind of have this like almost heist episode with like a bunch of criminals and see like, you know, the New Republic working in action, as it were. I mean, it was a fun enough episode, and so because it was either between that or the Gunslinger, which is like the one where the Mandalorian finds the rookie bounty hunter. Those were the two I was kind of jumping between, but I would say probably the Prisoner has like just that edge, just in between, you know, action and just storytelling. So yeah, no, I would go for that.
That's interesting because the Gunslinger is quite lowly rated amongst Star Wars fans, I would say.
Yeah, it seems quite. Yeah, I don't know. I don't feel as if it's like, you know, top, you know, like 1 or 2 by any means, but it is interesting to see them doing like a bit of bounty hunting, you know, and actually seeing other bounty hunters interact with one another. Because I know there's the joke, and I think you guys have probably seen like Red Letter Media and things like that, where they talk about like too many lightsabers and things like that. And the stories, you know, oh, too many Jedi, too many this.
Mhm.
So it's kind of, I mean, the whole show's like that, but it is kind of refreshing to see just a, you know, bounty hunting adventure and that. But
Yeah.
No.
I was going to go Paul second, but interestingly, I'm going to go second because I've actually picked The Prisoner fifth as well.
Oh,
yeah, cheeky monkey.
Because I think I actually posted about that episode on Twitter when I was doing my rewatch, because I think I always liked it, but people kind of called it filler. But I think when Bill Burr came back into season 2, it made it feel more impactful, and I absolutely love the scene where Mando, like, it's all red and he's like, it's like a horror movie and he's just like sneaking up on them all.
Yeah.
And I like the wee gang with the robot and the big guy with the devil looking guy as well. So yeah, I enjoyed that episode too.
Yeah. Well, to be fair, like, since we're talking about it, like, man number 4 was The Prisoner. So I may as well just talk about it also here, kind of thing, instead of going back to it.
Yeah.
How good's Bill Burr? I love Bill Burr, and since he's been in this, like, I watch like wee shorts he's in that, and he's so funny, and it's just weird seeing him like Star Wars as well now.
Yeah,
he's actually quite a good actor. And Big Clancy Brown? He was the big devil looking boy.
Oh yeah.
Do you know who played the Twi'lek?
I can't remember, but
No.
you tell me.
It's Natalie Tennant. It's Tonks from Harry Potter, and she was Osha in Game of Thrones.
Oh, the wildling.
Yeah.
Ah, the one that Ramsay killed.
She played the Twi'lek. Do you know who actually made a cameo in that episode?
Richard O'Doul. That one?
Yeah, he voiced the robot. That wasn't who I was thinking of. Do you know?
Oh, I can hear the voice, but I can't remember.
It's
Anakin?
Matt. It's Matt Lanter. Yeah, Anakin from the Clone Wars. He's the pilot that they kill.
Oh. Right.
Yeah, because I was watching that, I was like, oh yeah, that's Anakin. I was like,
yeah,
nice shoes.
He actually took very unwell, like not that long after that. I hope he's doing well. The actor, not the character.
No, the character's dead.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, it's Star Wars. They can bring him back.
That's right. Somehow he's returned.
Matt Lanter, if you're listening, we hope you're well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, but it was a good episode. It's quite interesting as well, seeing like New Republic having droids working on their ships and stuff. It's like, why don't New Republic? Why didn't like the Resistance or anything have like droids? Like you never see them in the movies or anything. It's just in this one ship and that's it.
It must
When
be
I remember, sorry, on you go.
No, I was just going to say, it must be quite lonely for that pilot, going around and he's just accompanied by all these droids. It's like he must have got the short end of the stick there. I mean, obviously, other than the fact he got shot, but yeah.
my only problem with the episode was like, when the pilot's like holding everybody up and he's got that wee tracking beacon.
Yeah.
And then I was like, oh, there's going to be like Republic gunships coming, blah, blah, blah. And he sticks it in the guy's pocket at the end and they blow up the station. I was thinking, what if that guy got kidnapped and he's just like, help, I need help. And then the Republic are just like, oh, well, we're going to kill everybody in the station. Boom, boom.
No, he's done for. He's done for. Scorched earth. No, no survivors.
Hero of the Republic.
There was another big, or 3 cameos in that. The X-Wing pilots at the end were 3 of the directors, weren't they?
Yes.
Dave Filoni, I can't say his name. Rick Fama, you got something like that?
Rick Famiara or something like that.
And Deborah Chow that did Obi-Wan. They were the 3 X-Wing pilots at the end of that episode that blew up the station.
Oh.
Deborah Chow. We're still disappointed in her, aren't we?
Not fully. I had some good times with Obi-Wan show.
I don't know. See if we were to rank the Star Wars shows, I think that'd be pretty low down on my list.
That's a different episode anyway. So, Paul, what was your number 5?
My number 5 was The Passenger.
Oh.
So, the second episode of season 2.
Yes. So, like my list, it's probably not like kind of most like well-known ones. I'm more of a kind of, as probably people that listen regularly know, like I quite like my action in the shows, and like I was going through the list, I was thinking, what ones really stand out to me, the kind of action set pieces that I really enjoyed, and like the whole kind of ice spider sequence, I thought it was just really something different for Star Wars, and I kind of feel like towards the end, like I thought they were done for. I was like, how they get at this? There's no chance. Like they're going to get saved from this big giant ice spider and all its wee babies, and then the Republic pilots come and save them. But yeah, I thought it was different. Plus the wee kind of humorous bits where Grogu's eating like the frog lady's eggs. I thought that was a wee bit weird. The frog lady been in it whatsoever, but.
I was just about to ask you, Paul, what your thoughts on Frog Lady were when she was having the bath.
Slightly arousing. No. Oh no, sorry. I would Colin, sorry.
That's a bit to be cut out now.
That's the 18+ version of the show.
Is that the Patreon exclusive?
Get that on a t-shirt. I was surprised. Yeah, I wasn't expecting that one to come out, but to be honest, I'm surprised with myself that The Prisoner was my number 5. So there you go.
Nice.
I actually liked the one you mentioned, Paul. I actually liked it more on reflection. I think when you were watching it week by week, it was a wee bit of a damp squib in the sense it didn't really progress the story a lot. But I think when you just rewatch it as an episode, it's got some good kind of horror elements and, as you said, good action.
Yeah, it was a bit of a filler, wasn't it?
Yeah.
It was just a bit of a creature feature kind of tropey filler, but I enjoyed it for what it was.
Yeah. So that was your number 5. So 4.
So my number 4 was, and this is one I was kind of hesitant to put on, but The Jedi, which was the one where I think we get to see Ahsoka Tano for the first time in live action. Yeah. And it's not so much for like her part in it. Like obviously that is a big part in it, but it was more to see the Imperial Remnant kind of kicking about, because this is something that I do love, and it's something that the sequel trilogy didn't really take advantage of. Like they just jumped straight into the First Order and they're like, oh, look at our, Apple style helmets and things like that. Yeah, the less I know that's a different episode, as you said, but you know, it was cool to see how there was just this like weird remaining Imperial stronghold on this planet, and Ahsoka was almost this mythical figure in it. And you know, we got more kind of plot advancement with Baby Yoda and you know Mando finding this Jedi, and I don't know. I felt as if it was a good episode, but the one thing I'll say is I feel as if this episode and like season 2 as a whole skirts the line between fan service and advancing the story. Like I feel as if it does it just well enough to you know go by and it's not too distracting, but it is on a kind of like tightrope for that episode. But I felt as if they did that at least in the Jedi. Yeah, really well. So yeah, that would be my number 4.
Yeah, that one didn't make my list because I don't know. There was other ones I enjoyed more, but seeing the 2 white lightsabers appearing in the dark, Grogu getting his name, and the mention of Thrawn. But I agree with you that I actually prefer the Mandalorian more when it's not about the big cameos like Ahsoka and Luke. Like I actually like when it was more grounded in season 1.
Yeah.
No, I kind of missed the boat on this one because, like, obviously I knew who Ahsoka was from like the Clone Wars movie, but I had never actually watched the Clone Wars series fully up until this point. So when I seen it, I was kind of like, oh yeah, that's that one from that thing. And but then after going back and watching the Clone Wars, I was like, oh yeah, I caught COVID and like binged it all, and I was like, oh yeah, that's a lot better. And I watched it again. It did make a lot more of an impact.
After a lot of pestering from me, I insisted they watch the Clone Wars. And I still insist they watch the rest of Rebels, but he doesn't want to do it.
My God, if somebody gave us a quid for every time you mention me watching Rebels, I think we'd never have to do this podcast ever again.
I've not actually done it in a while, so that was why I decided to do it.
Yeah, okay. But yeah, the Jedi episode was good. I wish they'd used Michael Biehn a bit better.
Yeah, I was actually really surprised he was in it.
Yeah,
I was looking him up for again when we were doing like a Terminator month for the podcast, and I was like, "What else has he been in?" I was like, "Jesus, he's been in the Mandalorian too." You know, and I scrambled for a screenshot, and I was like, "Oh, okay."
The guy with the galactic shotgun.
Exactly.
It was a bit.
Was that the episode he got his Beskar spear as well, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Which comes in handy. So my number 4 was one at one point was like my favorite, and then it was my second favorite. But I watched it. I actually forgot how short it was, and there's not maybe as much substance to it. But in terms of spectacle, nostalgia, heartbreak, and just kind of kick-ass moments, chapter 14, the tragedy, the one where Boba Fett gets his armor back and they have a wee showdown in the desert.
Yeah, that's what the Book of Boba Fett should have been.
Yeah,
that episode was awesome though. Just hearing him say like my father before I'm a simple man making my way in the universe, and when he gets his jetpack and when he shoots the ship and says he was aiming for the other one, and seeing the Death Troopers and
is it Death Troopers or Dark Troopers? I can't remember.
They're Death Troopers, I think.
Is the ones in Rogue One's not Death Troopers, or is that different? Are they the same thing? Just mechanized?
No, they're different. Maybe they are Dark Troopers then in Mandalorian.
I couldn't remember. That's what I was going to ask.
I just that when you actually, because I was doing a rewatch, that episode's only about half an hour long with credits. It's actually quite short. He just goes straight there. The fight starts. The whole episode basically is the fight, and then Grogu gets kidnapped. But in terms of action, I'd say that's the best episode. Not in terms of overall plot.
Yeah, it was a good one. It was a lot of good stormtrooper bashing. I'm still a bit perplexed by the knee rockets, so they kind of throw me every time I see them.
Yeah, someone had to design them. You know, like an actual Mandalorian weaponsmith had to be like, do you know what we could do? We could pack more weapons into you how are your knees? Although I have to say, as someone who's like just crossed the thresholds of my 30s, like to see every time, you know, my knees crack and I go down to kneel, like I would set them off every time accidentally. I can have them. I'd just be like, oh shit, not again.
It's just no. I know we said we wait to the end to discuss things that, like I said, we don't like, but you must agree that, particularly season 2, the plot is basically like, go see that person, and then he goes and sees that person, and then it's like, right, go see that person, and then go and sit on a rock on this random planet. There's just quite a lot of jumping from person to planet in season 2.
Yeah.
It's just like any open world side quest game.
Yeah, and it gets away with it because of the quality of the writing and the characters and the visuals, but I feel like the plot of Mandalorian as a show is not that great. Like, if you compare it to Andor, that's better written, but Mando's more enjoyable because of just the character, the armor, and the cuteness. Oh, I've got my wee Grogu thing on my desk as well, the wee one that moves and talks and stuff. That'd have been perfect for a video.
I know. If only your laptop worked, eh?
I know. So yeah, number 4 for me was the tragedy.
And my number 4 was The Prisoner, which we've already talked about.
Yeah.
So we are moving straight on to number 3.
This is a record.
Speed running it. No.
I'm sure we'll slow down at the end when we reach an almighty tangent.
No. So my number 3, funny enough, it was another season 2 one. Season 2 is a bit of a weird one because you're completely right. It is definitely more of a go to this planet, go do this side quest, go get the blue milk, come back, you know, going back and forth. But my number 3 is another season 2 one. It's The Believer, which is the one where they have to break into the Imperial compound. I can't remember why. I think they need the location of is it the ship? They're
trying to find Moff Gideon's cruiser because I just watched
it.
Yeah. I just tried to watch it. I just watched it yesterday, not tried to watch it.
They had to access a terminal to download the data or something.
Mm-hmm. And I don't know why, but I just thought that was an absolutely fantastic episode. Like, again, they brought back Bill Burr to help him out. You know, he had to take off his helmet, and you could see that he was completely vulnerable when he wasn't in like his Beskar armor. The Mando, that is not Bill Burr, but I'm sure he has like a set of Beskar armor probably after that show. But you know, just as well seeing the Imperials as well being quite humanized as well. You know, obviously not all of them. You had to have the cartoony ones, and unfortunately the poor shore trooper who just wants his lunch and he comes in at the wrong time just to get shot.
Staring at them.
Yeah, I know he's become a meme, but he should really be a Funko Pop or something. Like, he didn't deserve to go out that way. But of course, I think, and I could be wrong, but is this not the episode where they reintroduced the seismic bomb from Boba Fett's ship?
Yep, and that's where we got our name.
Yeah. Oh, such a good sound though. It's like as soon as that went off, I was like, oh, just flashbacks to watching Attack of the Clones. Just great.
Just put it right in my veins.
Yeah, just so good to my veins.
I liked, because that episode was that it wasn't one I would like that much the first time I watched it, but when I did the rewatch, it was actually just outside my top 5. It almost sneaked in. I liked. I keep forgetting the character's name. What's Bill's character's name?
Ooh.
We all forgotten it. Oh, you had it earlier as your name.
Mayfeld.
Yeah, Mayfeld.
Yeah.
I thought his speech, like not speeches, but his comments about like you're either someone out there, like people are being ruled, and like it was just his kind of his mindset about the way the world works was really interesting when he's driving the vehicle, and I think he was the real standout in that episode.
Oh my,
yeah, 100%.
Tangent coming up, but what did you? No, we're not going to discuss why she's been kicked out. But What did you make of Cara Dune's character, who isn't going to be returning in season 3?
I thought she was okay. You know, like, didn't think she was great or bad. Like, they were clearly, obviously, before everything happened, but they were clearly bigging her up to be, I think, was it Republic Rangers or something? It just reminds me of, like, Buzz Lightyear.
Rangers of
Yeah.
the New Republic, I think.
Yeah.
I think that's shelved now. But,
Oh, yeah.
yeah, I don't know. Sometimes things she would say or phrases she would use were a bit annoying, but I think in general she was quite good, and it was interesting that she was from Alderaan as well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it was quite good having that, like, you know, rebel in that group and having that almost like first-hand experience with the Empire. But yeah, there were some moments where she was good, and then other moments where you would definitely hear it in like a toy commercial or something. You would hear it going, "Oh, buy your toy of this character now." She's killed 5 Imperial Stormtroopers. You just see the toy ones like falling off, which obviously come free with the toy. But anyway,
she's been confirmed to not be coming back. I wonder if they'll allude to where she went or just forget about her completely.
I wonder if they'll just recast her. Yeah. They just be like, "Oh yeah, this is how she always looked." It's like, what?
Know. When you actually look at
Ronda Rousey instead.
Yeah.
when you look at the concept art, she looked totally different. Like the character had like short hair. Have you ever seen her in the concept art?
No, I don't think so.
Next time you watch, watch the kind of ending bit, and she's like looks totally different to what Gina Carano looks like.
Yeah. Wow.
To be fair, a lot of the concepts are like way before anyone's ever cast, aren't they? So
that's true. Mm-hmm. So my number 3, and again, this one actually quite surprised me a bit, but it was just an episode I thought was really nice. I would say, like, kind of more low key, chilled out music, and the small scale of protecting the village from the raiders, and the fact that it showed a different life that Grogu and Mando could have had. It was a Sanctuary, Chapter 4.
See, I wasn't a big fan of this one because I felt like it was just copying the Magnificent Seven for like everything that was.
I don't know. I liked it. Like, I liked that he had like sort of almost relationship of sorts. Because I think here's my big Mandalorian prediction. See, whenever the series ends, I think he'll go back to that planet and settle down with that woman.
I don't know. I think Mando's a big player, by the way, because we've seen him kicking about that Twi'lek in the Prisoner episode as well. It's like an old flame,
Paul,
and dirty dog.
I'm putting it down here. He's going to finish the show living with her on that planet.
And they're going to have a baby, and it's going to be pals with baby Grogu.
Yeah. There you go. There's my big prediction. But no, I don't know. I really always enjoy watching it. I like the start where there's like a kind of I'm not musical enough to remember what the phrase is, but they've got like a really kind of lower scale version of the Mandalorian theme at the start, and I like when they're like training up the people. It's a bit similar to the first episode of season 2, isn't it? When they're training up the townspeople to take on the Great Dragon.
Yeah.
It's got that kind of element to it, but I enjoyed it. I thought it was fun, good action, a bit hard to see at night time, and kind of Game of Thrones, Winterfell vibes when you could really see what was happening.
Yeah, I got some flashbacks for that.
I don't know, that and The Prisoner are like, I quite like the more throwaway episodes of season 1 because I really just love season 1 in general.
Oh, so we're in number 3, aren't we?
Yep.
And I guess you can hear my dogs have turned into rancors upstairs, just having me battle upstairs. Oh, every time I podcast, honestly. Don't know why I bother. Anyway, number 3. I went for The Marshal. That's that season 2 episode 1, isn't it?
Yep, I just mentioned it. Yeah.
I love Timothy Olyphant. I watched Justified all the way through to I think till the second last season, and he's brilliant in that. And I'm so glad he was in this. I think he's just a great actor. Kind of steals the scene. Every scene he's in, he's just so cool. I think, and just the episode in general, like basically a big monster hunt. I thought the Great Dragon looked really good, like the effects wise, and this is like it's not the first time you see the Sand People as like kind of civilized people, but it's the first time you see them like cooperating. I didn't think they could cooperate with like kind of like the normal kind of village people, but they managed to, and it's quite an interesting kind of dynamic, and just the whole battle at the end. I thought it was like really well done, and lots of jeez, and yeah, the battle was really good, but it wasn't as ferocious as the battle of the dogs upstairs.
Yeah.
So yes, number 3, the Marshal.
It was. I did enjoy it. I'm not. Like, I don't know. I think there is so many episodes that it wasn't like I disliked it, but again, it was just randomly going off on a quest, wasn't it? I liked when you heard like the history of Mos Pelgo, and then it showed you like the scenes when like the Death Star got blown up and things like that.
Yeah. No, it was. I totally agree with you. It was one of those episodes that it wasn't a bad episode, but it was one of those ones that it was just like another side quest. But I totally agree as well that it was interesting that they really humanized the Tusken Raiders. And I think, and I could be wrong on this, but I'm pretty sure that their sign language is like based on is it based on American Sign Language or something? It's like their own kind of sign language, but it's based off of that, I think.
That's a level of trivia far beyond our capabilities.
I know, apologies, I'm a massive nerd when it comes to that. but it was quite interesting to see they actually had like a culture, because I know they kind of bring that up in the Gunslinger as well, but
yeah,
it was kind of nice to see that they weren't just, shooting at the villagers and then, waving up and down. There was that kind of truce that had to be made. And no, it does a lot of things good. So I can totally see why you would have it as your number 3. Yeah.
I also think it ties right back to really early Star Wars, because obviously Obi-Wan Kenobi makes the Great Dragon noise to scare them away in A New Hope, and there's also the big Great Dragon skeleton that C-3PO walks past in the desert. So it ties right back to the roots. There's meant to be, I've not actually done it, but there's meant to be a side quest on Star Wars Lego where you can go and fight a Great Dragon on Tatooine.
Oh, really?
I can imagine that not going well for you, Colin.
I've totally fallen out of Star Wars Lego since Hogwarts Legacy came into the scene, so I need to go back one day and play it again.
I just lend it to me. I'll take care of it.
So outsource it, yeah.
Yep. So we've got our number 3s in, and so what was your number 2 then? Your runner-up.
This is going to be controversial because I was to and froing about which one to put as number 2 and number 1. They are very similar in a way, but you'll probably guess what my number 1 is with this one. But for number 2, I put the finale of season 1, The Redemption. And between the two finales, like I love them both. I think they're absolutely fantastic. You get really emotional in both the finales. Like that's not something I would usually say about a lot of shows where, the first season, maybe you get emotional and then the second season finale, you're like, it's all right. But I think there's a reason why I pushed the other one up ahead. But for number 2 especially, for The Redemption, it just had all of the perfect elements. It had the action, it had the comedy, it had the heartfelt moments. I feel as if it just bundled everything that was good with The Mandalorian, at least for season 1. It bundled everything that was good with it into one neat package. It had like a great ending and everything. Maybe it was a bit comical at the end when he, takes down Gideon's TIE fighter and everything.
Do the secret hand thing.
Yeah. And he waves his hand. Yeah. Because I have to admit, I never thought I'd get emotional about a robot blowing himself up. Because you know that way when they introduce a character and it's clear that they're going to get themselves sacrificed or killed off, but when I think it's the IG-88 model or the assassin droid, when that goes out and it decides to sacrifice itself for the greater good, I was like, wow, can't believe I'm actually feeling sorry for this assassin robot. It was just really well done. So that's why I put it number 2, which might be controversial. So if you get hate mail from anyone, apologies, just send them my way.
No hate mail coming from me because we're vibing again. That's my number 2 as well.
Yeah.
Here's a wee tangent for you, Satsu. Who would win out of the IG unit and a T100?
Oh, well, if the IG unit had its bomb, then probably the IG unit.
What about the IG unit and a T1000?
A T1000. Oh, the T1000, of
T1000,
course.
aye.
Unless it was
after that.
Well, then again, the IG unit can survive in lava, at least for a couple of minutes. I mean, the T1000, that
design flaw.
so well. Yeah, exactly. Too hot for it.
Colin, please tell me you've seen the Terminator movies.
I've seen one of them, but in the 90s.
Well, you may have understood those references.
I kind of zoned out because I wasn't really quite sure what you were going for. Anyway, back to The Mandalorian. I picked the same episode. I tweeted about IG-11's demise, and it was very heartbreaking, but let's not get away from the fact that Quill's death is the saddest in the whole of Star Wars, and that I'm surprised we haven't mentioned him yet.
Oh, that was
when Mando made a wee grave for him at the end with his wee hat and goggles.
Are you choking up there on the mic, Colin?
I think he's genuinely in my top 10 characters of the whole saga.
Who was that? Mickey Rourke? Was it Mickey Rourke? Is that his name? No, it's not Mickey Rourke, is it? It's what's his face? It's the other one.
Is that another guy at Iron Man 2?
It is. No, at all.
What's his name? I know it. Mick Nolte.
Aye, close.
Nick Nolte.
Aye, Nick. Aye, same
Nick.
thing.
I think it's Nick. Probably the best, not puppeteer, what's the opposite? What would you use to describe that?
Effect. Let's just go general. Effect.
Yes, effect. No, that episode was because that's the first time we see Din's face as well, isn't it? And Grogu wipes out the stormtrooper in the fire, and something we haven't mentioned from season 1 is all the flashbacks to the Clone Wars when you see the super battle droids and stuff.
Oh yeah, that's amazing.
Yes, Miliki.
Yeah.
Did you just keep thinking that Boba Fett was going to be the one that rescued him? When he was a kid?
I didn't. I never thought of it, not at all, to be honest.
The armor of the one that rescued him did look kind of similar. But yeah,
was he not all blue and just was clearly the Death Watch?
I don't know. I thought there had been rumours of Boba Fett turning up in the show, so I think I just kind of thought it was maybe him.
Maybe it was like your colour blindness was kicking in.
Yes, that was it. But yeah, the finale is brilliant. Seeing the darksaber at the end, like the kind of icing on the cake, and we also haven't mentioned how awesome Grief Karga is yet.
Oh, Carl Weathers, legend.
His delivery is just so it shouldn't work, but it does. I think Moff Gideon's similar. Just the way they speak, it's just so weird, but it works.
Yeah. Classy but authoritative.
Yeah. It was funny seeing him pop up in Mandalorian after I'd watched Breaking Bad. Funny seeing him come back up.
Yeah, he's in The Boys.
No, of course.
Yeah. No,
do you watch The Boys, Satsu?
Oh yeah, aye.
I packed it in after the girls scene.
Oh, when the lassie
Yeah.
fingers the deep skills.
Oh.
That was Colin's limit.
That was my limit. After that, I exited the process.
Colin, you should watch. Was it season 3?
No, I'm
Yeah.
not.
Season 3, episode 1 for the first 5 minutes. Just watch that, Colin.
I think
Please,
I know what
please.
I think I know what you're talking about. I've heard somebody talk about it. But
That
no,
was
I'm
my
not.
breaking point. I watched it all regardless, but that was my no. This isn't in my top 10 shows anymore.
I reached my limit. I much preferred not totally different vibe, but I much preferred Invincible.
Yeah, it's a wee bit less.
Anyway,
Cartoon Blood's better.
That's a tangent. Paul, what's your second place?
I'm probably going to be the black sheep of the group. My number 2 is The Rescue, the finale.
Season 2.
Yeah. I'm assuming you guys possibly all have it top. So you want to just kind of,
because when you assume, you make an ass out of you and me.
Right. Okay. So
I've actually not got it in my top 5 because it makes me cry every time, and I don't want to watch it.
Well, all right. I'm going to talk about it to my heart's content then.
Well, I'll just tell you what my number 1 was then, and we could just have a general discussion around the 2 last mentioned ones.
Yeah.
You should probably know this, Paul.
Right.
My favourite. It's the first couple episodes of Mandalorian I enjoyed, but it was chapter 3, The Sin, that gripped me. See when he goes back to get Grogu and there's the big fight with all the Mandalorians at the end. The Sin, chapter 3 has always been my favourite.
Interesting. I thought The Rescue would be your number 1.
No, I feel like The Sin's like the most important episode in the show, when he like goes from being kind of cold and uncaring to like making the decision to go and get him, and I just I feel like that's this one that really ignites the show.
Yeah. How good's Werner Herzog though as the Imperial?
And is that not also when he gets his armor, his full armor for the first time?
Yeah, because he gets the best car's payment, doesn't he?
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm very surprised that none of you have mentioned chapter 3.
That's because it was rubbish. That's why.
No, it's not. Very highly regarded episode, I would say.
No, it was good. Yeah. Is that the one though where is it the Imperial guy's like, oh, can I see him? And he's like, no, he's sleeping. And he's like, oh, okay then. It's like, if you're an Imperial, you're checking it. Is that a different episode?
No, is that not the second last episode when they're in like the bar?
Oh, it might be actually. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, because I was like, I've always been mystified by that. Like, he would just like accept it, like, oh, he's sleeping. Okay, I'm not going to check it.
I can't remember the character's name, but I absolutely love the Imperial guy.
Werner Herzog.
His voice is just amazing, isn't it?
Yes. Good thick German accent.
I want to see the baby.
Do you know, see for the longest, not that I use it often for like promoting the podcast or anything, but see when that episode came out and you would go into TikTok and things like that and Instagram, and all of like the shorts and videos would just have I would like to see the baby, and it would be like people's pets, like dogs and cats and things, and they'd pan it round, it just be the Mandalorian baby. Oh, it's so good.
The Sin is just fantastic though. See, just when all the Mandalorians arrive at the end and rescue him, and he's like flying away and he salutes him at the end.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
You'd imagine those Mandalorians would like have taken over the town, surely. Like they seem pretty.
It was just so tense. Like everybody's trackers across the whole city were going off, and that's the first time you see the whistling birds in action as well.
Yeah.
No.
They are a bit OP, aren't they? Though the whistling birds.
I bet you are all wishing you'd put that in yours now. After I just
no. I've actually. It's actually my top 20 at number 20.
There's not even 20 episodes, Paul. There's 16. You don't count.
Just testing.
Unless you include those 3 Book of Boba Fett episodes.
Then it still doesn't add up to 20.
That's true. 19. I'm lucky. We'll just throw a random Rebels episode, the one with the Darksaber.
Yeah. So that is your number one then. So what was your
That's my
number two?
My number two was Redemption, the finale to season 1.
Ah, right, okay. Got you.
So you both picked chapter 16. Do tell.
What was that first one?
You both picked chapter 16 as your number 1, which is the rescue.
I didn't. That was my number 2.
I picked it. Yeah.
All right, I thought.
I suppose.
All right. Oh, so we don't know Paul's number 1 then.
Ah, see,
Oh,
I'm
okay.
a tricksy one.
Okay, right. Okay, so Satsu can go first then in terms of chapter 16, and then we'll see what Paul's got.
Well, I totally agree with you. I think that the final episode of season 2 was just bloody emotional.
Yeah.
I can't believe, you know that meme where it's like sit down, try not to cry even harder. I was like, Jesus, because I don't even know if it's because what we've been getting with Star Wars up until that point wasn't as good. Like, you know, obviously we had the Clone Wars and everything, but in terms of like the live action stuff and the films before the Mandalorian came along, like I wasn't feeling that emotional when I was watching them, and I wasn't feeling emotional when I watched Solo. So it was like a long time since I actually felt any, you know, emotion towards these characters. And Jesus, like everything kind of slotted into place. The only downside is I slightly got it spoiled for me by a friend, not intentionally, but someone decided to post a picture
Former friend.
Instagram and
Former friend.
oh well, we're working through a few things. We're working through it, but yeah, like I opened it up and it was immediately the first post was just that, and I was like, "Are you shitting me?" But at the same time, regardless, I was like so hyped up. I don't know what it was. Like the music was great. The fact that the Mandalorian was just doing everything he could to save Grogu. The kind of team up at the end, just everything again, much like the redemption, it all slotted together, and it was absolutely incredible because you do get to see the absolute power scaling, if that's the right term, between like the Mandalorian and normal people in this universe versus a Jedi Knight. Like you could see it was like night and day when they're struggling just to take down one Dark Trooper, and then Luke comes in and bam, that's it, they're gone. It's like goodbye. But I thought it was like a perfect way to end the series. And see, in all honesty, see if they ended it there, I feel as if this would have been one of the top series of like Star Wars as a whole. Like the first 2 seasons, if they just ended it there, it would have been perfect. But then, of course, we got the Boba Fett episodes, and now we've got season 3, which is going to be very interesting. But yeah, no, that would definitely be my pick for it. I feel as if it did everything right and more. It just like built upon the last finale.
When I rewatched it today, though, I said to Paul earlier before he came on, I was like, I didn't feel half as emotional now that I know he gets back 5 minutes later. I feel like as good as those episodes were, they took like the most emotional scene probably ever in Star Wars and just kind of made it a bit lesser. Because see when he touches his face and he takes the helmet off.
Yeah.
But I can't cry now because they've ruined it.
No, literally for this episode, it's got like big star. It just says tearjerker.
The look, what is it? The Favreauverse, they're calling it.
Favreauverse. Never heard that one. What did you think of Luke's effects, like the de-aging? I thought they looked very janky in that episode.
It still takes me. I need to watch the Book of Boba Fett ones for the comparison, but it kind of does take me out of it a bit.
Yeah, it's much better in the Book of Boba Fett, I'll give her that. But in this episode, like when I first watched it, I kind of lost focus of what was actually happening in the scene because I was too busy looking at his face, and I was like, there's something weird going on there that's not quite right. And it did take me out. Like I even felt like Tarkin, like in Rogue One, looked way better than what was happening here.
I think it's probably because you know what he looks like nowadays. Because obviously we had The Last Jedi before this.
Yeah.
And, you know, like, we're all going to get old. I'm not saying, like, you know, he should be thinking for being old, but, like, he definitely obviously looks older. But when you see him as a young person, or rather de-aged and everything, it's weird that they didn't go for a different actor that just looks similar.
Yeah.
Sebastian Stan.
Sebastian Stan.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, because
I
I've seen.
actually
no,
thought
yeah.
it was. I actually, for the first like few seconds of that scene, thought it was him, and then I quickly worked out that it wasn't quite there.
You think it'd be easy enough to tie him up to a contract too, since it's like all Disney, isn't it? Marvel and Star Wars.
Yeah. Do you know what? I totally forgot that R2D2 was in that scene. See, when I watched it, because I watched it this morning before work, and see when R2D2 rolls in, I actually was quite like surprised. I was like, I forgot about that.
He's very much the third wheel in that.
He's like, I've been abandoned.
Paul, I'm very curious then what your number one is.
Hey, I haven't even talked about my number 2 yet. God's sake.
Have you not?
No,
Well,
my number 2 is The Rescue.
Aye, but you know what I mean. We've been talking about it generally.
Because like probably the big things out of me for that was like the Darksaber fight. Like Giancarlo Esposito, was that his name?
Yeah.
Yeah.
For some reason I thought that was like the person that cast all the Marvel movies.
No, that's I know who you mean.
Yeah.
That's like Despacito, isn't it?
It could be. That's what I was like, did I say the right one? Yeah, so like see their fight, like you can tell he's really going for it and he's got moves. Apparently, did he not break like 9 Darksaber props and they're like really quite expensive to make or something? And he broke like 9 whilst he was fighting because he was like so into it.
What age is he? Is it 50s or 60s? I don't know.
I think he must be quite old because in that, I don't know if he's watched it on Netflix, is it Kaleidoscope series he's in. He's looking really old in that. Like really old. And it was and I thought the Dark Troopers looked really good, the effects wise. I liked the soundtrack that was going along with it. It was it Skrillex I think they brought in to do a wee bit of remix for the Dark Troopers on their kind of theme, which I really liked.
I don't know.
I know Satsu's not a big fan of the Skrillex after what was it? The Amazing Spider-Man 2.
Oh, of course, yeah, the techno dubstep, which is exactly what you think of when you think of Spider-Man, yeah. You know, it's oh god, yeah.
Hans Zimmer got turned that day.
I know, there was no bois there, I know.
So that was my number 2, and my number 1 is The Believer.
Okay.
Oh.
So this is the kind of one I always go back to when I'm looking just to watch an episode of The Mandalorian that I know I'll enjoy. I think it's like fascinating from start to finish. Like I really love the Juggernaut chase scene. The whole thing with Mando. I don't know, it's just weird seeing somebody dressed as a stormtrooper fighting competently. Like kicking ass. And then, like you were saying earlier on Satsu, like this is the first time you see his face, and it's quite an emotional moment because you can tell. Second time?
You see his face in the finale of season 1.
Oh, so you do.
Oh yeah.
Well, that kind of cheapens it for me. I mean, this is number 10 for me. No, so you see his face, and you can tell like this is the lengths he's willing to go to save Grogu. Like you were saying earlier on as well, so Bill Burr was like his conversation with Richard Brake, the Imperial officer. That was like brilliant. Like calling back to Battlefront 2, Operation Cinder, and Richard Brake just is like the ultimate like scumbag, and is just typecast as a scumbag. He's that wee greasy guy to Doom.
Oh yeah. I know exactly who you mean.
Yeah, like, he's just the most awful guy. The officer so well, and like when Bill Burr's just having that wee kind of change, where he's like, he could just leave, and get out of there, but he just decides to confront this officer that he's been fearing. It's just brilliant. And then you get like the whole kind of culmination at the end where Cara Dune and Fennec are sniping. They're escaping. Boba Fett comes in for the pickup. You get the seismic charge. Yeah, what's not to like? That was just like my kind of favourite episode. Just like lots of things happening. My only wee kind of bugbear was I was hoping more was going to happen with the stormtroopers, like you were saying. Like it kind of humanized them, and I thought he was going to get some conversations out and like see what they were up against. Because like in the depot, there's like stormtroopers are like all dirty and manky, and you're wondering what they've kind of been through, what they're doing, and they're all cheering because these guys got through, and you're thinking, is there more to it? But then you just end up getting blown to bits at the end, and the poor guy in the canteen, I just wanted him to just step a few steps back and be like, nope, didn't see nothing.
Or even hold up his tray to deflect the bullet or the blaster. I mean, they could, as I said at the beginning, it's Star Wars, they could have survived, hopefully.
Aye. Rey's going to come in with the force healing from nowhere.
Yeah.
Leave her alone.
Hey, I'm just saying, like, Obi-Wan could still be alive right now. Okay? Anyone could be alive right now.
True.
I mean, Qui-Gon could be alive right now.
Back to tanks are a hell of a thing, yeah.
Well, there
or
was
back to spray.
Yeah.
There was a few ties there, but on the whole, it was quite a good bit of variety in terms of the choices as well.
No, it's quite interesting to see how they do, because like you're saying, I was thinking more on the action wise, but I missed out the sin because I thought other things had more variety, which I didn't think at the time. But if I was going pure action like I thought I would do, then probably the sin would be in there. So yeah, it's quite a good kind of difference of opinions, I think.
Yeah. Sometimes, like when I watch a show, there's always just like an episode I've always. Do you know what I mean? Like you'll have it with other things. Like I'm sure we've all got our favourite like Simpsons episodes or How I Met Your Mother episodes. There's always ones that kind of just stand out. The pineapple in your mind. Do you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Is there any episodes you didn't like?
Episode 4 of season 2 wasn't that great. You know the one the siege, is it? When they go into the Imperial
the cloning facility.
I don't think that was that great.
That's the one that Carl Weller's directed, wasn't it?
Yeah. The second last episode of season 1 is just a setup for the finale, but Queel dies in it, so it's still quite impactful, and it's got the nice wee tale of how IG-11 became the nursing droid as well.
Oh yeah.
I don't think there's any I don't think there's a bad episode. There's just ones that I like better than others.
What about you, Satsu? Any ones you were kind of like on the fence with, or?
Yeah, again, I totally agree. It's definitely a show that you could watch it from start to finish and be entertained by all of them. There's no real episode that drags as such. And again, here's the controversial opinions coming out here, but one of the ones that I thought was okay was, I can't remember the name of it. I think it was the Heiress, maybe.
That's the one on the water planet with Bo-Katan and stuff.
Yeah, it's not so much the episode itself that I don't like. It's, other than the fact they nearly destroyed the Razor Crest, which would come back to bite them on the backside later on. But it's just, I felt as if then when they introduced Bo-Katan, at first I thought, oh right, that's cool. They're introducing new, or rather old characters from the Clone Wars and things. And then I suddenly thought, oh Jesus, they're introducing old characters from the Clone Wars, because that's one of the issues I had with the Bad Batch when they started just randomly throwing in characters from the Clone Wars, like, oh look, it's Saw Gerrera, oh look, which he seems to be in everything, from Rogue One forward. It's it's like he's in the Clone Wars, which makes sense, and he's in the Bad Batch, then he's in Andor as well.
Andor,
he keeps popping up. So
I suppose with Mando being a Mandalorian, I suppose you can excuse them for having the Mandalorians in it.
I mean, it does make sense. Like, it's not the worst like cameo they could have had. It's just the kind of worry I have with, and I know you're going to talk about that later on, but it's just that kind of worry that when they start introducing these old characters, because I mean, for the flaws that the first season might have had, at least it was relative, and I could be wrong. Like, please jump in if I'm remembering incorrectly, but I'm sure there wasn't many legacy characters in the first one, like the first season.
I don't think there was any. There was like
No.
IG-11, who was like IG-88. There was Queel, who reminded you of the Ugnaughts and Empire.
Yeah.
There was like the Tusken Raiders. There was more races rather than individual characters.
Yeah. Because it's just the worry that because they're introducing like Luke Skywalker, Ahsoka Tano, and Bo-Katan and everyone,
Boba Fett.
Maybe that's Boba Fett as well, of course. How could I forget? The fact that they are going to carry this maybe over to season 3, which is kind of the worry. But yeah, that would be the only one I was kind of like, it was all right. But again, there's like no real episode that I would say, oh, I hated it, or oh, I would skip it. Yeah.
I think the run times were quite a lot of the episodes were quite short.
Yeah.
I know it's like, but like you're saying it'd be like 48 minutes, and then it'd only be for 38 minutes and 10 minutes of credits. You'd be raging.
I suppose the quality you get though with the special effects and everything else, you've got to have a trade-off somewhere. But
yeah, you can definitely tell it's high-end stuff. Like the sets always look great. Like, was it the volume they call it, isn't it? Like that's just an amazing bit of tech. Just all the time, I think there's never really a time where I'm like, this setting doesn't look great, or these effects don't look great. The only time I actually thought the effects didn't look great was Luke Skywalker's face, and that was the only time I thought that's not great. You know what I mean?
That's true. Well, I think I can't really remember when we started now, but I think we've been going for about an hour and a half, believe it or not.
Wow.
Yes, that's what the timer says at the top.
I know, but I can't remember when we started. But anyway, we said we would talk about our kind of overall thoughts. I kind of feel like we've done that as we went along. What do you think? Or have you got anything else kind of overall you want to share?
No, nothing from me. No.
I think we haven't given enough credit to the music and the concept art. We mentioned it maybe once, but Ludwig Göransson's music is incredible, and so is all the concept art at the end.
Yeah, it was quite a different ending, I have to say, for the credits, because usually they just cut to, immediately the credits, and it's just the, blue text on the black background and everything. But no, you're completely right. It is like fantastic to see that the artists and concept artists are getting their time to shine, even if it's in the credits.
Do you know what I noticed actually when I watched the season 2 finale today? There's no. That's the only episode that doesn't have the concept art at the end, and I wonder if it's because they had the Book of Boba Fett teaser.
Oh, maybe, yeah.
Which I forgot about until I got to the end and remembered, and then I watched it. Bib Fortuna let himself go.
No.
Must be good though. That's the way to get a promotion. Like just kill the guy in the chair and be like, there you go. That's my job now.
This is a different podcast from completely. But how did Bib survive? Was he not on the? I'm pretty sure he was on Jabba's sail bar when it blew up.
He didn't go on the trip. He had a sore stomach and stayed behind.
That old excuse. I'll stay behind and look after the dog, guy.
Got a couple of Gamorrean guards here. I need fed.
You said at the start though, like so good in terms of music, characters, concept art, writing. Well, in some ways, but just like the over-reliance on the cameos in season 2, the kind of paint by numbers plot at times. Like it's not perfect in terms of like plot progression, etc. But obviously, it's got so many other good things going for it.
Yeah.
I think if we start talking about like what we think season 3 is going to be like, I think we can probably carry over quite a lot of these points because like we're talking about cameos and stuff. Like, hopefully, there's not going to be too many in season 3 coming along. It's going to take the shine off Mando.
We've already got Babu Freak.
What, in season 3?
He's in the trailer.
Oh, no way.
Yeah, I forgot about that completely.
I've only seen a couple of trailers and I did not want to see him in it.
What do we know and what do we hope then? So,
Does that mean what's her face is going to be in it? Kerry Russell's character?
I don't think so. It may not even. I think it probably is him. But remember in Andor, they had the doctor that was the same species as Maz Kanata. It was a bit of a red herring.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. So, are we going to talk about season 3 then? Like what we think is going to happen and what we don't want to happen?
Yeah, I don't think we know that much. I think there's I've got a rough idea of what might go down. I already know the series is going to end with him settling down with his lady. Either that or Frog Lady.
Are you willing to put some money on it? Go to the bookies.
I think I can see that final scene. He's sitting on the patio having some. What's that drink they always drink?
What, blue milk?
Shofka, something. Aye, he's sitting having a wee soup, having a wee drink. Get his helmet off. Grogu's playing with the children. He's got his lightsaber and his wee Mando mask on. Yeah, that's the end of the series.
Well, that's very very specific.
Yeah. That's my fiction.
But you, Satsu, what you thinking is going to happen?
I mean, if I was to take a nihilistic approach, I'd say that if he wasn't such a popular character, they would have killed him off by the end, or even had a Sopranos cut to black. He just looks up, there's a bounty hunter pointing at him, and then boom, just you
never know though. But yeah, like a hot property. Like, imagine they kill Grogu off.
Yeah, no, they're never gonna. He's got the. That's the kind of thing though that's killed the suspense almost for this show. Because when it started, you're like, oh, what's going to happen? Is Mando going to survive? Is he going to make it? But now you know that the show's so big, it's like, well, they can't kill them off because how are you going to explain to little Timmy with his Mandalorian pajamas that his favourite characters did?
Like, how many seasons do you think Mandalorian's got in it?
Hopefully, I think if it goes beyond this season, it's maybe stretching it too far. Like, good things can go too long. Like things like The Walking Dead just went too far for me.
I got 4 seasons because Rebels had 4 seasons, so that could be a decent estimate. I don't think it'll go as far as Clone Wars, like 7 or 8.
I feel as if because it's so popular, they might try to milk it. Like, as I said before, if this ended in season 2, then this would be like one of the best Star Wars shows ever. And don't get me wrong, it still is up there, but I think the longer this is going to go on, the more episodes are going to pop up that you think, oh, I don't want to rewatch this episode because it's a bit of a slog, or oh, I don't want to watch this because it's not as good as like season 1 and 2. And there is that worry, though, that because it is popular, they are just going to run it into the ground, which is a shame. But, you know, it's very difficult, though, for a long-running show to, you know, keep up. Like, I know it's only 16 episodes, but it is going to be a lot more difficult the longer they go on with it. I mean, it's not going to be like Boba Fett tier, I suppose.
The only thing it's got going for it is it's such a wide, diverse universe that it really could bring anything, anywhere in for a storyline. Yeah. And it would be passable, if you know what I mean. It's not out with the realm of possibility. There's just like so much out there that could happen, so much variety. You could bring in characters from, like, to be too fan servicey, you could bring in like big, high, top tier characters. You could bring in dead obscure characters that only certain people would know. Just to kind of bring along bring the longevity out of it. But yeah, I think if it goes on too long, it could kind of tarnish the earlier seasons. Because I found that way with like The Walking Dead. Like, I liked the first few seasons, and then it just went like totally bleh, and I hated it. But yeah, I'm quite looking forward to season 3. I hope we get to see a lot more, because he's going to Mandalore, isn't he, to be the leader, not to reinstate his name or like get his.
No, he's going to go. They mentioned this like place under the city, like a kind of water place that he can like wash away his sins. Well, obviously, he's feeling bad about like showing his face and all that kind of stuff. So I think he's looking for like forgiveness for his.
Yeah.
It says that in the trailer. He's looking for forgiveness for his transgressions.
Yeah.
Do
I
you
hope
think
there's some Clone Wars Easter eggs in there somewhere from the Siege of Mandalore.
Do you think Bo-Katan's going to be the big bad this season?
Potentially. She's going to be like, "Where's my dark saber?" Just trying to beat the shit out of him. Yeah.
It's so awkward. It's like he's like, "Take it. I don't want it." She's like, "No."
I must kill you for it. I must beat you for it.
Did you hear
You
what?
just-
Oh, sorry.
No, you go.
I was just going to say, like, did you hear what people were saying about that? Like, apparently, I think it's in Rebels where Sabine gets it, and then she
Yeah.
gives it to Bo-Katan, like, "Oh, here you go," and she's like, "Oh yeah, I rule Mandalore." And then obviously it cuts to the Mandalorian, and they're like, "What the hell happened?"
I think she's learned from that.
Yeah.
Something I had two thoughts in my head earlier, but it disappeared. But basically, this isn't going to be the last season. I think we can say that for certain because I recently watched Cobra Kai, and they've announced the final season, and they're like the whole kind of promotion and trailers about it being the final season. I think if this was the final season, it would be in the marketing. Like, I think there's going to be at least 4. That's my take, anyway.
No, that makes sense.
Yeah,
and I mean,
good point.
Considering as well, like, I don't know if you guys noticed that in the trailer, I think there's like a clip of Order 66, inside the Jedi Temple and everything. So there's a lot more they can flash back to. It seems to be quite a popular one because they had it in the Kenobi show, and no, they wouldn't have had it in Boba Fett, but they definitely had it in Kenobi, and they're going to have it in this. So they seem to be flashing back to the kind of prequel era and Clone Wars era quite a lot, which it should be interesting to see what they do with that. But there's too much for them to just contain it in a 8-episode season 3, for sure.
Well, it was revealed that Grogu was at the temple, so I think we'll find out this season who saved him.
Oh, sure.
There's a rumor I heard that would be pretty cool. Barriss Offee, you know, the one that betrayed Ahsoka in Clone Wars, because like she's never died that we know of. So there's been a few rumors that she'll come back into one of the shows at one point.
Is she not locked up?
I don't know, but yeah, I've heard that mentioned.
She's in Jedi jail. She dead.
How good's that arc of the Clone Wars, by the way, when all that goes down?
Oh, so good.
Yeah. I was quite surprised after them. Was it Ahsoka and her and Geonosis? And I was like, oh, she's pretty sound. And it was like, oh no, she's not.
Yeah. Just trying to think what else we know. So there's going to be a Babu Freak appearance. There's a scene of him with like multiple other Mandalorians. So I think Mando's going to have like a wee squad in this season.
Yeah. And he'll be like, I'm the leader. I've got the dark saber, so everybody do as I say.
And
this is the way.
There's his new awesome Naboo starfighter in silver.
Yeah. They'll probably run this series right up to the point where he's flying to Exegol with a big fleet of ships. At the end of that, they'll probably run right to that.
God.
Wait.
Sorry, no, I was just going to say, you'll zoom into like that scene in The Rise of Skywalker and someone will point it out going, look, there's the Mandalorian. And it's like, Jesus Christ.
I know. It's I think we all know whether we like it or not. Both Bad Batch and this, they're going to tie it back to Snoke and Palpatine's, aren't in some way, because all the kind of cloning stuff.
They're definitely aging towards the First Order, it seems. But they're getting to that time period for sure. So it'll be quite...
That's cool if it was intended that way, but I hope they're not doing like they've just invented the Mandalorian and Bad Batch to make up for the lack of foresight with the sequels.
Well, there seems to be a lot of like I don't know if you've noticed this with a lot of these shows, like with Kenobi and the Book of Boba Fett, and they keep name dropping all of these planets that were only featured in the sequel trilogy, like Canto Bight. I can't remember what show it was, but there was one of them that are like, "Oh, you're like a casino in Canto Bight," and it's like, "Don't."
Is that on Andor?
It could be, yeah, it could be, but it's like trying to tie like the sequel trilogy into.
Oh,
Yeah,
I think that was in the Prisoner episode on The Mandalorian, because that's when Mayfeld's looking at the Razor Crest.
Oh, of course, yeah.
Mayfeld also said that Mando might be a Gungan under his helmet.
Oh, yeah.
I know that's not a sequel, but it was funny. Yeah. We forgot to mention a really sad death in this series. How sad got destroyed.
Well, that was devastating. I was actually laughing because there was a lot of videos of people buying, the Lego Razor Crest. And they were like, "Oh, I finally finished the Razor Crest." And then they look up and they see that scene where the Razor Crest gets destroyed. And they're like, "Oh, damn it."
Yeah.
It's not even that. Disintegrator rifle went as well, didn't it?
Yeah.
Oh, the best weapon ever.
There with definitely one of my kind of top 5 spaceships in Star Wars, I'd say.
Yeah,
well, that's another episode.
Yeah. Yeah, the Starfighter isn't the same. Like,
it's cool though.
Oh yeah, absolutely. It's sleek. It's like going from a white van to a sports car. Yeah.
I always loved the Naboo Starfighter. I actually had the toy of the yellow one from Phantom Menace.
Oh yeah.
Did it used to have bits that fell off it, like battle damage and stuff?
I don't know. You probably broke it.
Probably, yeah. definitely battle damage.
For context, me and Paul have been friends since we were 4, so we've played with all these toys.
It was actually last week we were playing with the Starfighter.
Yeah, well, have we got anything else we want to add about season 3? It comes out next Wednesday. There's going to be another 8 episodes, so it's going to be fun. I'm kind of sad, Paul, we're not going to do a week by week, but I think it's better just to do a season finale, but it's sad.
We can just talk about it in our spare time. It's fine. And you got a couple of comments on Twitter about season 3 as well.
Yeah, could you do it in case I accidentally close the call again?
Go ahead.
I don't want to repeat at the start.
Right, okay. So, we've got Brett from Dissect That Film. He says, just continue to give us a good story. I don't want filler, just Mando doing what he has to do to re-establish himself as a Mandalorian. Which I think is pretty much what we've been saying as well. Like, we just want him to... We don't want these filler episodes with very tropey kind of storylines. We just want kind of original stories with Mando being the centre of attention.
That's fair.
Unless, like, we'll probably get... Imagine, like, we had, like, 5 episodes of Mandalorian, and then it just goes to Boba Fett and Tatooine for 3 episodes.
Just sitting on his chair doing nothing, playing on his phone. Yeah.
Hanging out with his wife.
Oh, right.
I'm very passionate about that couple. You aren't actually going to believe this, by the way.
We've not been recording this whole time.
My laptop is connected to the internet.
Well, next week is saved. Yay.
No, actually, what? Why did it do that to me? Like, sorry, not relevant.
No. Back to the Twitter section, Colin. Come on. Don't really know about your technical difficulties. And I'd give that 10 minutes. Said classic characters, epic space battles, and maybe even Mando using a lightsaber. Well, the Darksaber's pretty much a lightsaber, but I wonder where you get that from.
Probably from Ahsoka. Oh, here you go. Hold this for a second. People were going nuts. Yeah.
Just find Mace Windu's severed hand at the bottom of Coruscant somewhere.
See the amount of people who are like, I don't know if you've seen this going around where they're just convinced he's alive. Like
I wouldn't want that at the moment.
No. But I'm pretty sure like Samuel L. Jackson could convince anyone to do anything they wanted.
Absolutely. Give him
Considering
a
he,
robot Andrew.
considering he got
Purple
a purple lightsaber that never existed.
One of my favourite lightsabers. There's another episode.
What favourite colours?
Favourite lightsabers.
All right. Red, blue, purple.
Green.
Green.
Green always.
Red.
Well. Right, was there any more tweets? Sorry, I get really overexcited when I realised my laptop was connected to the internet, which means I don't need to spend tomorrow night fixing it. So it was good.
That was it, I think, my friend. That was it. Just a couple. We decided to leave it till like 10 minutes before we started recording to actually ask people, so I've only got two.
That was me. But yeah, they get shout outs anyway. So yeah, well, thank you so much for coming on. It's been a real in-depth discussion. I think we've touched on probably every character episode, and not all the Easter eggs, but a fair few as we went along.
No problem. Thank you for having me on to talk about The Mandalorian. It's honestly been like a long time coming for me to actually get on and be like, oh yeah, I'm going to talk about it. But no, thank you for giving me the chance to talk about it. And
then hopefully, despite the technical issues, you still enjoyed coming on.
Yeah.
Oh, absolutely. No.
The technical issues, the doghouse, it's just,
Got a cold, falling apart.
Yeah. Colin's pressing the hang up button.
Oh well. Well, we should probably plug ourselves because I didn't do it at the start. So yeah, we're Seismic Cinema, two dudes who like to talk about movies and TV. We love we've got a question to ask at the end. Actually, we'll come back to that. You can find us on YouTube, Amazon. I'm really tired. I've got a cold, but we're on all the different podcasting stations: Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter for our socials. Our website potentially in the future, maybe some T-shirts on the way. So yeah, make sure you like, subscribe, share, and will our guest know what our slogan is? We ask everybody this, so don't feel. I stole this off the Ben Foster podcast.
Oh, that's a good question. It's completely gone out of my mind because I listened to one of the episodes earlier before coming on, but it's completely gone out of my mind, so apologies.
Paul, what is it?
It's alright, Satsu. In like 70 episodes, nobody's ever remembered it, so it's all good.
Apologies.
It's the power of knee rockets in the face.
It's actually the power of escapism and escaping reality through TVs and film.
Yeah. And also, we never promote this as well because, like, if you've been sticking around for like almost 2 hours, then maybe maybe you like us, maybe maybe just your radio's broken and it can't turn off. We also have a Buy Me a Coffee page, and it's buymeacoffee.com/Seismic Cinema because we need some funds to get some singles for no apparent reason because it's somebody's stag do next month. So,
Actually, there is a thing we actually need now. So, Paul's got a mic and a headset, and he looks really professional when we do video. So, I would like one too. Thank you.
Yeah, I just need the look.
Yes. Oh well, right, we'll finish up there. So again, thanks for coming on. Hope everyone enjoyed listening to the discussion, and roll on The Mandalorian next week.
Yeah, thank you, Satsu. Pleasure having you.
Yeah, pleasure being here. Thank you so much.